Double Take. Well, Caught in the Act, Double Take, starring Tamar Braxton. So episode 3. But first, like, share, subscribe, and join the channel. So it's your boy Paul. So let's get down to this. The mess of the mess, baby. I say on in the act. Unfaithful. That's the best. The best. I love me some Tammy Rowland. But let's get into Tay Tay. So first, we got episode 3. We got two sisters. What's it? Annalise. I want to say her name. Annalise. I hope I'm Anakisha. Anakisha. I want to say it's Anakisha. We can call her Keisha. Anakisha is Keisha. I think that's how you. So they are sisters. So they came to Tay Tay for help because their big sister, who is 15 years older than them, is actually been acting a little strange because Alakisha, Keisha, well Keisha, aka for short, Keisha's been staying with her, lives with her, and she's been moving funny. You know, she's been secretive, she's been a little snappy and all this. And they end up telling her they passed and whatever, that they grew up being raised by their grandfather. Also that their sister was very much a big sister. She was there for them and everything like that. But she's been moving a little bit funny. They don't know what's going on because they end up finding, like, the sister that lives with her ended up finding a letter, a lawyer letter. So they thought it maybe she got her prison bag, but they still not sure. Tay went, okay. They said she going out at night, and stuff like that. Tay said you can't think too much about that. She outside. you know. So they ended up explaining that their mom passed uh, during child labor with the youngest one, the one that lived with the sister. And apparently, the youngest one kind of blames herself about that. You know what? They brought the little evidence that they did have to show and stuff like that. So Tay ended up taking on the case. And so as they took on the case, her surveillance team, we got my girl Courtney, who is out here surveilling. So she followed the sister, and everything that the sister doing her day to day and stuff like that. The sister ended up, let me see, before I get sidetracked. Sister, okay, Tay took on the case. I say Courtney. Okay, so Courtney ended up following the sister, aka the sister, to a popular place, and it was very crowded and whatever. But she ended up meeting up with some guy. So, Courtney trying to figure out, like, oh, okay, so Courtney gonna have to go into the establishment. So she goes in, had a little surveillance stuff with her to check it out. And she watched the sister she was actually on a date and stuff. And she told the man that she has a roommate, and stuff. So they ended up going back to his place. And, she stayed, the whole. So we move over to Tay, went onto the sister social media to check out, see what's going on, and they ended up pulling up doing her social media, looking, see that she was looking for friends. She looking for her a zaddy. That's what she out here and stuff. And so during that, as he going through the stuff like that, we get back to Courtney, the investigator. So the Courtney investigator is she actually see it's the next day. The sister then rolled up out of the man's house. And she didn't leave. The sister go all the way back to her house. So when the sister get back to her house, she's coming in, getting together. She goes through a package and stuff. And then in the package, she gets on the phone to call to see if they person got her retainer. So it's like, your retainer, girl, what's going on here? So yeah, that's what was going on at that point. Then we move on to the cyber team. Move back to the cyber team. So the cyber team ended up Tay Tay, and they still looking through her stuff and everything, and they end up doing a search on the grandfather. They end up searching the grandfather name and everything to see what's going on and see if they can find out anything, see if there's any like secrets or stuff. And they found out that the grandfather got, he got petty case, some petty stuff that he did in the past, jaywalking, stuff like that. Ain't nothing that serious, But they ended up pulling up the Tamar had him pull up the picture that the sisters, the two other sisters gave her about their mother. And when the cyber team actually pulled it up, it came up a different name with a full spread, a full article spread. And this person totally different. And then it said this person died at 24 with no children. So this plot gets thicker and thicker. So there's excuse me, there's a lot of lying going on all the way around. So we move past them, we move on to okay. Okay, so now we move on to the team, and we move on to Tay Tay ended up having two sisters meet her back at the double headquarters. She's there with her coach to help with going through the process and help the girls. So she ended up showing them the evidence. And as they going through the video and showing them, they ended up hearing that they synced the date and they like, okay, alrighty. They like, okay, that's alrighty, that's cool. Then they sing when she got back to the house. So when she got back to the house, they see she on the phone, attorney, attainer. But come to find out, Tay Tay ended up telling the girls, we got something else for you. So we actually did some more investigation where their grandfather ended up calling the big sister. And they had the conversation on tape where I want to say the youngest one had actually called him and asked him about their mother. And he said that, during the conversation with the big sister, he ended up saying that, the young one asking about the mother, but believing that the mother is not dead. And at that point, the girls were shook. And so Tay Tay ended up telling them, we looked into the picture that y'all sent us, that you said that was supposed to be your mother. But she went, that's not your mother. That's a woman who actually died without any kids at the age of 24, peacefully. I said, girl, girl, shut up, girl. So at that point, the girls were starting to lose it because they were realizing that, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. So who is our mother? Who is it? Tokyo is going off mad at the point where she said, let's take this mic stuff off of me. Tamar had to get them calmed down enough as she could, had them come back to the table. She said, what y'all want to do? Because y'all need to find out the truth of who is y'all mother and what's really going on. So she said, y'all can either examine and have my team go back out there, or y'all can expose. And they was like, expose. And Tamar said, y'all can either examine are exposed. Tay said, let me get my coat. I said, girl, shut up, girl. Tay your mess. So they ran over to the sister house. And, Tay said, y'all go in. We going to be out here, watching. So they go in. And big sis like, what's going on? Cameras, everything. What's going on? Why cameras in my home? And stuff. They said you need to tell us what's going on. Where our mama at? She, get out my house. Get out my house. Get out my house. So Tay and them come in. She didn't run into the room and stuff. They said we need out and stuff. And she said, I'm not coming out. Get out my house. So she ended up talking to Tay one-on-one. Tay said, well, we've been watching you, girl. Your sisters and them came to us to let us know that you've been moving funny. So is y'all mama gone? And she started hesitating and crying and stuff. She went, I had a hard life growing up. I had a hard life. I was 15 and she said, was it 15? It was 15. Yeah, she went, I was 15 and 17. She went, so you they mama? I said, girl. I said, shut up, Tay. Tay, no, she's stupid. You they mama? She went, girl, you gonna have to go. She went, girl, you gonna have to go out here and tell them the truth. Because I ain't taking neither side. That's all we here for. They need to know the truth. So they go out there. I said, this lady, oh my God. She ended up telling them that she was their mom. And I had a saying that she had a hard life, she said, I was still there. I was still a part of your life. I was still a part of your life. I was still there. I was still there. They said, but you was playing our big sister. You wasn't playing mom, but I was still there. I was there. I just wasn't the mama. It was just a lot to handle. Y'all had a good life and everything. And Tokyo was pissed as hell. Tokyo ran them guys. So Tokyo was actually about to beat that ass. She was about to whoop. She said, girl, you may be my mama and you may just told me you my mama, but you still big sis and I'm about to beat this ass. But she ended up, Tamar got her outside, moved her away. Keisha, aka Keisha, whatever her name is, you can call her Keisha. She's sitting there, processing it. And she just like, you made me believe that I was the person that killed my mother, but you're right here. She was just the lady was so nonchalant about the whole thing. Like she said sorry to her and everything, like that was supposed to make up for what she did. She played the victim when she was not the victim. I said, you raised your daughters as you was the sister. They big sister. You been a mama this whole entire time. So, the youngest, so Tokyo outside with Tamar, and Tamar had a talk with her and everything, and she said, I don't want my daughter to go. She said she has a daughter. She said, I don't want my daughter to go through anything like this. Straight at this point, I don't want. We can change this, but right now I'm pissed. I don't. So she went back in there. She ended up telling her, she said, right now, this relationship between us, I don't want it. But I do have a daughter who looks at you as aunt. But now that I know that you are my mother, you can be a grandmother to her. And then we can work on our relationship down the road. When she said that to her, they mother, aka big sister, moved on to the little sister again. So what you gotta say? So Tay said, hold up. You can't do that now. You just all of a sudden just gonna skip past Tokyo like it ain't nothing and then get to the youngest one. because you just gonna bypass what how she felt and what she just expressed to you. Saying, well, I hear what you're saying, and I'm sorry, and we can work on it, and we can do better. I'm sorry for what I have done, and I was still there. I was still there during y'all childhood. I was still there, even though I wasn't y'all mother. I said, girl, you need help, serious help. So she ended up apologizing again, like truthfully apologizing to both of the girls, both her daughters. And 3 months later, Tay Tay talked to all three of them. And they ended up having a good conversation. Um, the mother ended up saying they went to counseling and everything, and it has helped. And she has learned from what the lie that this big old lie she has told, and how it has really affected all of them. Um, and that she learned a lot from it. They're in a better place. You can tell that Tokyo still processing and still trying to get through this with her mother. It's still like it's she says it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. Um, you can kind of tell that they don't that the daughter, I think the youngest daughter looked like she moved out of the mom house, which is a good thing for her. She's saying that it's they're in a better place. The relationship is getting better and better every day, so that's good. I said the mom could have had fixed this a long time ago, and they ended up talking about the grandfather. The two daughters said that yeah, they were mad at him, but he's family at the end, and they worked it out. So that's all that happened on there. I said it was a good episode. I said it was. I said this was just crazy. I said I have never ever seen somebody actually go through something like this. You hear parents say, yeah, we siblings, but to actually see a parent actually do it and actually do it to the point where you had your kids thinking you was they big sister, and like on with it. Woo! But y'all tell me how y'all felt about it in the comments. I like, share, subscribe, and join the channel. It's your boy Paul. Y'all for tuning in. Bye, y'all. A mess.